Hey everybody, we are moving on to Module 3, which is our module on synthesis. Like our Module 1, which was about summary, we had 2 essays under that heading. We're going to have 2 essays in this one. The first one that we're talking about is the explanatory synthesis, and then later we will do an argument synthesis. So one of the topics you all voted on at the beginning of the course was body modification. And so that's the topic we're going to use for this essay. So this essay being an explanatory synthesis. Explanatory meaning that we're explaining, we're just teaching. Kind of like our summary essay, we're not putting our opinion into this one. We will for the argument. So we're going to be explaining and teaching our readers about something. Synthesis means we're going to use multiple sources. And we're going to bring them together to build the explanation. So we're going to do some outside research and use multiple sources to craft this explanation for our readers. So in the Module 3 folder, you can see the Module 3 assignment sheet, materials about synthesis, and a sample student explanatory synthesis essay you can take a look at. That's on a different topic, but it demonstrates what the synthesis is. So our first job is to figure out what we want to research and explain. So blog number 7 is asking you to do some preliminary research on this topic and figure out what you might want to spend some time with. So when we look at body modification, these are things that modify our body in a permanent kind of way. So I wouldn't consider a haircut body modification or dyeing your hair or getting a makeover, because this isn't something that's permanent. So when thinking of what are the permanent things we do to alter and change our bodies? So something like tattooing and piercing might immediately come to mind. Those are 2 very common types of body modification in our current culture. But then there's also scarification. If you've ever seen people that have had scars, or branding, where people will have patterns burned, and that's a form of scarification because that burn raises up a scar. Think about implants. Some people have, breast implants, or in some extreme cases, people have like horns implanted or things to alter the look of their body in a permanent way. One way that many cultures modify the bodies through circumcision. So that's a surgery done to the genitals, either for religious reasons or cultural reasons, or a rite of passage, coming of age kind of tradition. But there's also some of these ways, other ways that we alter the body, like corseting, where the corset actually changes the alignment of the rib cage and shifts the organs around. If you've ever seen those women in Myanmar who have the brass neck rings to elongate their neck, that's a kind of body modification. If you've ever heard of the Chinese foot binding. And then there's also things like cosmetic or plastic surgery. That's a very common form of body modification in our culture, where somebody, might have a nose job, or might have a facelift or a tummy tuck, or something like that, gastric bypass surgery for weight loss. Our regular dentistry is a form of body modification. People get braces, people get implants. If you are interested in those extreme forms of dental body modifications, you'll see people have their teeth filed, or the Vikings would have, stripes filed onto their teeth, things like that. And then also we have kinds of gender confirmation surgeries, where transgender people will have surgeries to alter their body to confirm their gender. So these run from the very common, like getting a baby girl's ears pierced. We don't bat an eye at that, right? All the way up to very extreme forms or unusual forms of body modification, where maybe somebody has their tongue split and gets horns implanted. So our first step is to figure out which one of these you want to research and explain. So if there's a particular practice that is interesting to you, like you want to investigate Chinese foot binding, you can, just zoom in on that one and start researching it. You can also look at, if we just take the concept of tattooing, which is a huge topic, there's many subtopics under that that might be interesting to you, like gang tattoos or Russian prison tattoos. I was watching a thing the other day about a tattoo artist who gave free tattoos to cover scars from domestic violence. So getting those tattoos over, painful scars from trauma or violence. If you look at the tattooing of the Holocaust victims, right? They were all tattooed numbers. Or if you want to look at a particular kind of theme of tattoos, like I want to look at religious tattoos or pop culture tattoos or things like that. So this topic is enormous. So if we think of body modification as a whole city, you have to figure out, well, I want to look at tattooing. That's a building in the city. Well, there's still a whole bunch of rooms in that building. So do I want to go into the Russian prison tattoo room and hang out there for a while? Do I want to go into the Holocaust prisoner tattoo corner for a while? Do I want to go, right? There's a lot of rooms just in that building about tattooing. So do some preliminary research. Be aware that when you Google this, you're always going to get the most extreme version of things. But look at what's interesting to you, and that's for our blog. And then next week, we'll be looking at the specific sources. So as you're doing your preliminary research on your topic, if you've come across something that's interesting, bookmark it, favorite it, email it to yourself, print it out. That way, while you're doing the blog assignment this week, you can be conducting your research and be halfway done with what you need to do for next week. So if you have any questions as we're moving into this essay will be due on the 8th. So we have 2 weeks on the explanatory, and then another topic that y'all voted on was the First Amendment. We're going to move into that for our last essay, which will take us through to the end of the semester. So let me know what kind of questions you have. I'm interested to see what you guys are wanting to look at and discuss with this.